think I got it. Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Eddie Marcus here again. You know, yes, I have asked you, the public here in Minnesota and in the country, to consider me as the next senator from Minnesota and the next president of the United States. Now look at me. It makes you sick. I know everybody who thinks they're a little bit more important than me. It makes you sick on the stomach. It makes you laugh. I'm not dressed like you. I don't speak the language that you speak. And I'm probably the wrong color. And you know I'm broke. I don't hide that from you. And so the thought that I would have the audacity to speak to you about being representative of the state and of the country, oh, what a fool I must be. But you know, ladies and gentlemen, that's not very important. What's really important to me is this. When I think about the little snotty-nosed, nappy-head kids down in Mississippi and in Illinois and in Maryland and in Georgia and Alabama, New Jersey, California, when I think about those little nappy-head, snotty-nosed kids, hungry, living in their poverty, when I think about those nappy-head, snotty-nosed kids living in Mexico, living in India, living in Africa, living in all parts of the earth, when I think about it, it's sickening to me. You know why it's sickening to me? Because I believe in a God. But I don't just believe in a God. I know a God of love, a true God that has proven love to me. In other words, I've seen the hand of God, and I have no doubt about it. Now, I realize that many of you have a different perception of God. To you, God is low down and dirty, and God is mean and vicious. I don't know anything about a God like that. I know a God of pure love, a God who created every last one of us and made sure that the resources for our survival was here on this earth, and that the intelligence that's needed to abstract those resources from the earth to meet whatever our demands are have been embedded in each of us to have a part of it so that we can engage ourselves in the creative process, and by doing that make us all owners, partners in all the things that exist by the hands of mankind. Now, I understand that men have been given choice and men make laws relative to their own philosophy of life. And they're able to do that because they either recognize a God or they want to be God. And people follow along and go along with it because they're fearful. I understand that. That's the kind of world we're living in today. But I have to at least try to wake you up. Sure, I have people all the time writing in response to what I have said that no one is going to pay any attention to me, that I am a joke. If I had just those people who said others weren't going to pay any attention to me, if they themselves just paid attention, I'd be rolling like water down a stream. But that's not happening. What they're saying is that not only aren't other people going to pay any attention to me, they are not themselves. That's what it is. It reminds me of the Piper of Hamelin, going down through the town, blowing his whistle, blah, 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 and all the rest followed him straight down to the river and drowned. That's what I basically see the world as, headed straight down that path. And you know, I want you to understand that when you study the Bible, you see a lot of ugly things that people say God has done and is asking others to do. I don't see that. You say that the Bible is true, that God spoke to these men. I ask you, if God spoke to these men, why don't God speak to you? If you believe that God spoke to any man on the face of the earth, I ask you, why don't you allow God to speak to you? That seems to be more credible. If God spoke to you and you say, God spoke to me, rather than saying God said something through somebody else to me. Well, you think about that for a moment. Today I went to the supermarkets and to some stores, my lady and I saw all of the canned goods. I saw the store stocked. I mean, it was looking like it was packed. It looked like some other stores were going out of business, and this store just brought in all that additional stuff. And I looked at it, and everything that I saw, I realized that those creations came out of the hands of man. The canned goods, I know that the materials that is used to make cans, that material was given by God. And the intelligence of how to extract from those resources the product of cans and cartons, milk cartons, and egg boxes, and materials that is used to make clothes. I saw all of that coming at the hands of man, and the intelligence coming from God through man. I saw it all being God connected for the purpose of all human beings. That's what I saw. And I thought to myself, if all of these people, even the ones who are stocking the shelves, even the ones who are sweeping the floors, even the ones who are cleaning up the countertops, even the ones who are operating the cashiers and operating the checkout lines, everybody is playing a part in this process. They are giving of themselves, their time and their intelligence to make all of the things that exist possible. And I'm just looking at it. I'm thinking to myself, they own all of this. Then I ask myself, but why don't they accept the fact that they own it? Something says they don't know it. Then I ask myself, well, what's the stumbling block? What is it that keeps them from knowing this? And I'm reminded that it is the systems that have been created by human beings, the systems that have been created by man. And one major thing that that system does, that system allows, is business. In other words, business is a major corruption in the situation of life. How so, you might ask? Well, all of you know what business is all about. What is the bottom line of business? It is about profit. Should I say that again? What is the bottom line of business? It's about profit. Now, I should ask you, what is profit? Profit, basically, in the sense that we refer to in business, is getting more back than you gave. Let me say it again. Profit is getting more back than you gave. Maybe I should say that again. Profit is getting more back than you gave. So when you get more back than you gave, that means as often as you do this, you are accumulating profit and more profit. And as you're getting back more than you gave, then those who are responding to you are getting less and less and less. And you'll have some at the end of the day who are billionaires and trillionaires, and there will be some who are living in poverty. So that's the game of business. A game that has been legalized by the systems. Well, I want you to know, ladies and gentlemen, that the systems of man are immoral. Yes, they are allowed because they are set up and placed in place by man, but they are immoral when it comes down to the conduct of its effect on the lives of human beings. You know it is absolutely true. And I gave you an example the other day. A parking lot in St. Paul, Minnesota is falling apart. They want to rebuild it. It's going to cost over $130 million. How are they going to rebuild it? They're going to get taxpayers' money, and rebuild the parking lot. A parking lot that belongs to the people who paid to get it, the taxpayers. But any taxpayer that parks in that parking lot is going to have to pay a fee. That's double jeopardy. That's robbery twice. And yet the people go along with it. And so I'm saying that's what business is all about. Taking advantage of you. Taking advantage of you. I realized there was a time when a gallon of gas cost 22 cents. Now some places it's called $4. Some places it's called $6. Prices jacked up. Why? Because people want to get more profit. What? They want to get more profit. And people want to drive their cars, so they are subjecting and submitting themselves to a curse. They are subjecting and committing themselves to a curse. And yet people will say, even though they know what I'm saying is true, that nobody's going to listen. They are pointing the finger saying nobody's going to listen. When you point your finger and say nobody's going to listen, you have got about at least 3 additional fingers pointing back at yourself, saying that you 3 times are not going to listen, whether it's true or not. Now, I want to tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. There is one thing that could be violent that God would permit, and that is when you have been attacked by an aggressor who wants to take your life. You have the right to defend yourself. An aggressor who wants to take more than they are given, you have the right to resist it. That is God-given, because you are to be a slave to no one, and only God do you serve, which means you do the right thing at all times. So I know that you think very negative of me, and that's okay. But I still want to see the benefit of everything that I've talked to you about being revealed in the lives of all of the people. So whether you make me senator of the state of Minnesota by writing my name in, or making me president of the United States in 2020 by writing my name in, that is insignificant, really. The only difference is that it makes it easier for me to carry this message forward if I'm put in a position that would at least require people to listen. Well, I don't want to say any more than I've said already. I think I've said a mouthful, or should I say a spoonful. I want to thank you so very much for giving me this your time. Once again, this is Eddie Marcus, spokesman and advocate of basic human rights for all people, not just my black people, not just for men, not just for Minnesotans, not just for people of the United States, but people of the world. People who are created by the Almighty God. Now, if you were made by something else, perhaps I'm not speaking to you, and I understand why you don't understand. Bye-bye.